What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a very important day for the stock market, for NIO, and the overall market going forward, because we have FOMC minutes coming out. I'm going to break down what that is, why it's going to be very important, and what's going on with the technicals for NIO right now, as NIO is at a very critical level. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, whether it's $1 or $100, it's up to you. You're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each valued at up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free NIO share, a free Tesla share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 7 days, so make sure you check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So NIO is down 1.62% for the day. It actually is very close to that $10 support zone I've been talking about for quite a while. And I'm actually recording this a couple of minutes before the market closes. Now, I do have to record this video a little bit earlier than usual, so I can't actually talk about the close. But as of right now, it looks like NIO is going to close very close to $10, maybe a little below or a little above. And that's very, very important. Now, to start us off, I just want to mention a couple of big dates. NIO does have a very important conference call on, I believe it's going to be on the 1st of March, and it's also reported that their earnings is going to be around there too. I'm seeing different days for it. I'm going to confirm that a little bit later, but most sources I'm seeing are saying it's coming up within 2 weeks. Now, good news for NIO is that NIO is going to build factories in China for budget EVs, and that's very, very good news, because NIO is working very hard to produce more and more and more of these EVs for the new brand to export them to Europe as early as next year. They're also working very hard on building more and more of the battery swap facilities, which will help not just their customer base, but also their revenue and a bunch of other things for the company. So overall, we are getting some good news for NIO that came out. However, in a market like this, good news fundamentals are not everything. The whole market, like I told you guys yesterday, is going to dictate how many of these individual stocks move. And that's why it's going to be very important that we pay attention to what the market's doing. Now, as far as NIO goes so far, overall, the volume is a little low. Since we're very close to close, I'm not seeing very high volume. So that's a pretty decent sign in a way where we're not necessarily crashing on super high volume. NIO isn't down like 7% or 10% or anything like that. We're only down about 1.4%. But the thing is, we keep coming closer and closer to $10. We're seeing lots of bulls stepping in, trying to defend it, but we're slowly getting closer. And the more times we keep bouncing off of it, the weaker it becomes in a way. It's going to become easier for the bears to try to break it if we keep retesting this area. And that's why it's a very important that NIO either tries to hold it or something else happens to actually change that. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a couple of minutes. The last thing I want to talk about that's right here is the short volume percentage. This is actually at about 52%, meaning that we are seeing an increasing in the shorting for NIO and also the selling pressure. Additionally, NIO has a very low price pairs ratio, and I do believe this will change a little bit, but this is telling me that NIO is underperforming relative to the market. Now, as of right now, NIO is trying to base, and the market is continuing to drop, so we might see the price pairs ratio not drop as much. It may even increase just a little bit, but this is basically telling me that we are still showing some weakness in the overall price action. Now, I also want to note that historically, Wednesdays tend to be one of the best days of the week for NIO. We're green 56% of the time, and there is a potential catalyst that can actually help that happen tomorrow. The short interest was at about 45, I think that's, let me see, 45 million of those shares shorted. No, I'm sorry, that was about 3 million. Sorry about that, guys. 3 million a couple of days ago. I think I just read that wrong for a second. I'm sorry about that. 3 million shares were shorted just a couple of days ago. Now we're at about almost 5 million. So an extra couple million NIO shares were shorted over the last couple of days, right? Crazy, crazy stuff. Shorts are starting to pile in a little bit more, and that is playing a role in why NIO is coming down. Now, overall, the market is taking a hit, guys. That's dragging NIO down, but this could change tomorrow. This all could change depending on some important data that's coming out. We have some mortgage data coming out early in the morning, but there's not really too much coming out throughout the day tomorrow. So I do believe the market's going to just hang out very close to where we are in the beginning of the day. But then tomorrow at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, we have the FOMC minutes. Then after that, we have another Fed speaker. The FOMC minutes are going to be crucial for the market, and this could actually cause either a big bounce or a bearish continuation. We're just going to have to wait and see how it goes. If you don't know what the FOMC minutes are, they're basically a detailed record of the FOMC meeting, but they provide more concise insights on the monetary policy stances of all members of the committee. We're going to get more information about what the Fed is doing, how their monetary policies are going to be adjusted, and also whether or not they're going to be even more hawkish during the next meetings. We could get some insights on that too. That's why it's a very important day. If the Fed still has this mentality, or they point that they may still be dovish, which is in my opinion not as likely, but it is possible, the market could still bounce, as crazy as that sounds. But if the Fed ends up announcing, or they show signs that they're going to be more aggressive, we have to be very, very careful. Now, what do I see from a technical standpoint in the markets? Well, the thing is, yes, we've been selling off like crazy. We're actually very oversold on SPY. SPY is down almost 2%. And I want to note that we are respecting a falling wedge-like pattern. We have a falling wedge that's developing. I haven't drawn it out yet. I should probably do that. But anyways, we do have this falling wedge, and we could get a bounce tomorrow. It is very possible the market's going to try to bounce. I'm not promising that it will do that, but it is very possible we should see an attempt. Now, I also want to note that I can't necessarily promise that that's going to happen. It depends on the FOMC minutes. But if we get the bounce, we could actually see a pretty decent move. I'm going to show you that move in just a couple of minutes. We are seeing this wedge. It looks a lot like this being respected. And I just want to note to everyone that, look, when the market makes moves like this, it's not the end of the world. All right. It's not the end of the world to see the markets getting hit like this. I believe that this whole falling wedge-like pattern, it's going to likely remain in this pattern for a while, and we could get a breakout maybe tomorrow. It is possible for us to at least try to do that. Now, if we get the breakout thanks to the FOMC minutes later tomorrow, we could see SPY try to get back to 404. Maybe the gap fill. I don't know about the gap fill, but it is possible we'll try something like that. Now, if we fail, it could just be a small bounce followed by a bearish continuation. But if FOMC minutes cause the market to crash, this could actually fail. This whole falling wedge could fail, and we could continue to go down. You have to watch these very important levels on SPY. The daily 200 EMA is very close to 398. Below that, we have the 395 level. Then we have 393, 390, and beyond. So those are some of the most important levels to watch for. Now, for NIO, I also want to note that NIO is going to be affected by the market. NIO is fighting and fighting and fighting to hold $10. If NIO wants to turn bullish, we need to get a nice break and hold above 10.5. If we break that, there's 10.8 as resistance. Break that, then we get 11.3. But right now, the most important level, in my opinion, is, well, there are two important levels, sorry. We have 10.5, then we have 10, two very important levels. If we break below 10 and we fail to hold that, and we end up holding below 10 or even close below 10, that's not going to be a good sign, and we could see NIO come down to 9.7, then 9.5, or even lower than that, right? This 9.7 to 9.5 range is going to be key. If it fails at 10, we could come all the way down there. If NIO wants to turn bullish, once again, 10.5 is what we need. What do I think is going to happen tomorrow? I really don't know. It could be either way, but my gut is telling me that we might get a small bounce, and I do think this might help NIO try to bounce, try to come back to this 10.3, maybe 10.5 area, then come down from there and close in the 10.3s or around there. I don't think it's going to be a crazy big bounce for NIO because we are showing some signs of relative weakness, but I do believe that we should see somewhat of a bounce tomorrow. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So once again, be prepared for anything. I can't predict the future perfectly. It really depends on the FOMC minutes. That's why tomorrow is a very important day. The FOMC minutes may not affect NIO's fundamentals directly, but it does affect the economy. It does affect employment in America. It does affect the Fed's policies that will affect and maybe increase or even decrease the odds of a recession, and very important factors like that that do ultimately affect businesses in America. And because of that, the whole market will move because of that. And because the whole market moves because of that, that means that this could dictate NIO. That's why it's so important to look at the FOMC minutes and what the Fed speakers say. It will affect how NIO moves. I want to make that as clear as possible. So anyways, what do I see tomorrow? My 2 cents, my prediction, my spidey senses, whatever you want to say, are telling me NIO is likely going to try to get a bounce. We're going to try to get back to this 10.5 area. We might fail around there and close around 10.3 or so, but I do believe NIO is going to try that. Now, if I end up being wrong because of the FOMC minutes not being what we want them to be, NIO could break below 10, so be prepared for that just in case. But my prediction is a nice bounce tomorrow. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great rest of the day. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.